Generally, when I get here, I get a appetizer for the table. And that appetizer for the table, long gone. Although, I contributed as well. John Abraham is back in the studios of 97.7 ESPN Zone. Appreciate burning. Yeah, that's right. And another staple of us being here at Full Moon BBQ is Drudy Armand here at Full Moon BBQ for the
those pepperoncini smell pretty good, Steve. They'll part your hair.
So it's the sausage links.
Yeah.
With
the pimento cheese. The pimento cheese is really good.
And then there's crackers as well. Mm-hmm. So you stack them all on a cracker and then dunk them in the barbecue sauce. You'll thank me later.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot to get into today, and that is just from the athletic director at the University of Alabama, who has been a little mouthy today, has decided to grant a couple of interviews, AL.com, as well as the USA Today, where the most notable quote is he believes that the SEC championship game, the ship has sailed. It has run its course, are the exact quotes from the athletic director at the University of Alabama, Wes Neighbors.
Yeah, so I'm surprised he's saying that. I'm not disagreeing with him totally, but he's just...
Are you not?
No.
You've been a staunch supporter of the SEC football championship.
Yeah, but I was also a supporter of them staying at 8 games.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and if they're going to expand the playoffs, how are you going to play that game? I mean, I think he's just being – I think he likes the game too. I think he's just being a realist of what's happened. I mean, we've lost control of this thing. I don't think there's any question about that. If you're going to want to do whatever brings you the most money, what he's looking at, I'm sure, as an athletic director, is this financial nightmare that they're staring down the barrel of. And they're trying to figure out what to do. Well, I think what you're seeing is they've already seen if they don't change anything, we're going to have to play more games. And we're going to have to do it and have more. It looks like the Big Ten is in control of this bear. We've lost control somehow. And we're going to end up playing more games, right? And they're going to have to play more games so they can make more money, so they can afford what they're doing now. So, it's a combination of all this. I think he's just looking down the road and seeing if we don't play more playoff games, we're not going to be able to afford to do what we're doing now. And so that's what you look what he said.
And I think what Wes is saying, campus games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and he's look what he's. If you read exactly what he said, he talks about that with
the AL.com story.
Yeah.
Schools who are choosing to not report, or if they end up choosing not to follow the guidelines of the House settlement, that's going to be very interesting to watch to see where they will go with that. Because if those aren't followed, then the unregulated, challenging market that everybody has been dealing with to continue with the agents will do their very best to push it further.
Well, I mean, you think LSU with their – did they send $21 million, Drew?
A lot more than that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the
whole point.
Exactly.
Texas, LSU, Now, it's funny. Alabama and Georgia kind of mirror each other. I think the way they kind of try to handle the deal, but you've got the LSUs of the world who really what irritates you is when the governor gets involved and acts like they've, overspent on Brian Kelly and gets rid of Brian Kelly, and then they just start spending money like they won the lottery, spending it on Lane Kiffin. They'd already spent big money on Kim Mulkey, and we're all realists here. I mean, Alabama just hired a women's basketball coach, Pauline Love.
Yep,
but let's be real. I followed that process. From what I understand, they called Joni Taylor, and Joni Taylor is the head coach at Texas A&M, who's an Alabama alum, who at one point in time was probably the coach in waiting when Wendell Hudson, the great Wendell Hudson, was coaching. He decided to coach a couple more years. She left to go to Georgia and be the coach in waiting, got the job, and then left Georgia to go to Texas A&M for more money. Well, Alabama called. And Joni, they've done okay. You know, they haven't been tremendous like they were under Gary Blair for many years. But she had $1 million+ buyout and I believe close to $1 million salary. And Alabama is not going to pay that for women's basketball. And some are irritated about that. Some, you know, with the reaction of the hire, because Pauline had only spent 1 year at Alabama, but is known as a great recruiter. She spent a long time in the SEC at Arkansas, Alabama, and then Oklahoma. So she knows the league, but she's never been a head coach. So that's risky.
Yeah.
But I think everybody understood, and I'm tying it in with money, is that Christy Curry left because of money. Not really money she was making and her staff, but was rev share money, NIL money, which was tripled at her new place. And everyone's kind of irritated, like, well, why does Alabama care about women's basketball? Why are they not? And Burns getting heat because they feel like, well, you didn't go get Joni Taylor, or you didn't even go get an alum, a head coach, even though it's a junior college level.
What I like about this, Drew, sorry to interrupt you. The people complaining how much money they give in NIL.
Well, that's what I have.
Nothing. I guarantee you. That's the thing. Everybody wants to do all this different thing and be there, and they're not giving anything. If you're not going to give anything, you lose your right unless you're reporting it and have an opinion to say anything.
Well, and I was listening to the show on before us, Paul Feinbaum show, and the last segment of the hour before our show was a caller calling in, an Alabama fan, just giving Burn down the road because of, I guess, what he said today, and then also saying that he's not a good businessman. He should be fired because of how he handled the building of the new basketball arena, acting like COVID never happened, because he's talking about Paul Feinbaum. He showed up to a press conference with drawings under with drawings under his arm, and he misled everybody. They were supposed to be a new arena. Well, yeah, they were well on the way to getting that, pal. But then something called COVID happened. Did that actually happen or not? Yes. And then NIL happened. And then he's like, well, Paul, if you were a men's basketball coach, would you want a practice facility or would you want a new arena? And of course, you know what Paul Feinbaum's going to play up. Well, I'd want a new arena.
Well,
you got to have. You got
the next whistle he blows.
Well, I mean, Paul Feinbaum doesn't know a basketball from a volleyball, so what's he going to know?
Up or stuff.
And he certainly knows how to play one off the other. That's why he's a millionaire.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, he's egging the guy on, and he's just sitting there. Well, Paul, you've known me for years. You know, that's the kind of guy Greg Byrne is. You know, and then I'm like, there's no way with COVID happening and then NIL. He asked, Nate Oates, what do you want? What should we prioritize? Because he's a great communicator with his coaches. He says, look, right now NIL, I need players and we need a practice facility. And so that's why they decided to do that. They knew they couldn't build the arena right now. I mean, I wanted the new arena. Everybody did. Everybody in the state did. Of course, this fool went back, well, they should have built it all the way back in 1997. I'm like, dude, shut up, please. Somebody put a mute button on him.
It's not as if Coleman looks anything like, I mean, the facelift for Coleman.
And then he intimated Nate Oates would be gone to Kansas within a year, which, you know, dude's already turned down Kentucky. And if you don't think so, then give yourself a lobotomy because you're too stupid to be sitting here talking about it. But anyway, I mean, he's chosen to stay at Alabama because they've given him what he needed, and that's Greg Byrne. And then Greg Byrne with this women's basketball hire, look, I understand it. I would have supported Madonna Thompson. I would have thought that would have been a sounder move in my opinion. But if you go back and look at how Greg Burns handled things as he took over as athletic director, I think he's done a pretty dadgum good job. And you're in a tough spot right now financially because Wes has talked about it. I mean, you look at what everybody's spending, and he was talking, and he also intimated that Alabama's not buying the 5 stars. You know, they're going out trying to get cheaper options. Well, I mean,
what's he talking about though? They're not buying the 5 stars. We've signed plenty of
our high school classes have been good.
Alabama's
take a
look at Nate Oates' class coming in.
And then I'm looking at the football class too. The high school classes have been good. Now,
I'm gonna tell you, I went to practice
Yeah.
And they have done a great job putting talent together. Now, making it a team and all that, I can't comment on that because you never know. You got how many a bunch of new players and a bunch of new quarterbacks.
That's why I'm glad I'm on here tonight because Wes went to that scrimmage. I did not. I know Wes I saw you bring in your roster sheet.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you because they specifically mentioned the fact that they had to take a defensive back from Mercer. Well, did you see said young man from Mercer, and what did he?
I don't know where anybody's from. I know that what I read. So the way I do it, Drew, is I don't go looking for certain I'm this guy. I let who looks good flash to me,
right,
and then write their name. I was shocked about how many. Because you don't know anybody's number. They change numbers, yada, yada.
Year to year, every time.
Change names. But when I'm sitting there looking, and I remember hearing people saying, we're signing these junior college people. What in the world are we signing these junior college people? 3 of the best guys that sit there and flash were the junior college people.
Yeah, I saw
found
that
out
on
a
your
lot
notes.
about them. And I just, these people don't know what they're talking about. Until you see somebody. Listen, I thought we did an incredible job of recruiting last year. I said so. You saw all those freshmen. We depended on them. They played. They did good. But I thought they have filled the holes with people who play. Now, people get hurt. You got a lot of, but the talent there, I think at Alabama, I think this team could be really, really good. Now, they got a lot of work, so you don't know both quarterbacks get hurt,
Yeah.
Or the offensive line needs to come up, has a long way to go. I've said that every day for the last week.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of ifs, but the fact that they're, in my opinion, the way they're handling this like a professional team, they have gone out, whoever's in charge of that, Courtney Morgan or the staff or whatever, they've gone and identified really good players, and 3 of them from the junior college they stole. Those guys can play, all 3 of them. And then the guy from USC, he had some good play. He flashed to me, and then when you look at him, he's 6'5", 300 pounds.
Yeah,
and he doesn't have any fat on him.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like a player. I mean, he looks like a player's supposed to look.
Yeah.
And he looks like a werewolf out there. So I'm impressed with what they brought in, because all the names I have that flashed to me were people that just got there for the most part.
Or have not started in the past.
Paul was also in the news today as well, mentioning that had Alabama not beaten Oklahoma, that he would be a Wolverine head coach.
Well, they beat Oklahoma, so who cares? Bye.
I don't know if that's true or not either. So I think that's.
I mean, that's easy for people to say. You know what else I could say? And I think I'm more right than that. If Ryan Day had lost to Tennessee, Ryan Day'd be unemployed. He'd be the head football. He'd be probably the offensive coordinator for Michael Oxley at Maryland, and then he'd really be complaining about some NIL then.
Did you hear the rant that Ryan Day went on earlier this week?
That's what I was talking about earlier to Drew.
Oh yeah, we heard it about dinosaurs.
Yeah, so
dinosaurs.
What I think he is they got 3 players from now Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them's got a lot of talent and really fast and all that. When you're really fast, you go the wrong way. You're just that much further out of the play. I think the players that Alabama has now are better than any they lost. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Including especially the 3 that I think it was 2 or 3 wins.
It was 2.
Yeah.
So,
and then they've lost a couple before that. Caleb Downs and of course
I knew that. Yeah.
And Seth McLaughlin, but who's a good. They were both good players.
Clearly, Ryan Day enjoys Netflix documentaries.
Well, yeah, that was what I was talking about. You know, he was talking about things being extinct and all that, and I said, well, he was almost extinct himself. And if he had been fired and ended up being some OC with some podunk NFL organization, or I just brought up Maryland, like this considered a have-not, then he'd really be complaining about NIL.
So I would think Maryland have done to NIL with the
Under Armour. Yeah, you would think.
But when I heard his rant, I was thinking more like, they're not going to be very good this year.
Really? That's how you took it?
Yes.
I want to hear this again then.
Yes.
I watched that Netflix documentary on the dinosaurs. And, if you want to feel insignificant, watch that. Because it talks about how the dinosaurs were on Earth like 250 million years ago. And, throughout time, it got all the way to like 65 million years ago. Over that time, the world changed, the climate changed, the Earth changed. And some dinosaurs figured out how to continue to adapt, and some died. And I guess that's a little extreme, but I think it's kind of the way it is in college football. The people who know how to adapt are going to continue to move on, and the ones who don't, they die. And so as frustrating as it all is, as much as we all want to just pull our hair out and throw our hands up and realize that this is all extremely crazy, and even being with some of the NFL personnel last Wednesday, when they look at you and say, you are insane to be in college football. They're right. But either you adapt or you die. And so this is another phase of it, is bringing in a whole half of your team is new. They've never played a down of football here, and we're not allowed to lose a game. So we're going to adapt, and we're not going to die.
I'll tell you one thing that stood out to me hearing that the second time is they're right. Him saying that they're right, the fact that they think that I'm crazy to be in college football. And that's him saying.
Well, because, you can bring players together, and you can have a lot of great players, and you can lose 4 games.
Yeah.
I mean, if your team doesn't grow and get together, that's what I'm saying. So,
hook them.
So I mean, they spent $40 million, didn't spend enough on an offensive lineman though. I mean, there are mistakes that can happen, and that's what I'm hoping doesn't happen to Alabama. Because their offensive line, you got a bunch of new players, and but hopefully they can come together and put together.
That was mentioned to Tom Izzo. I know I played a cut yesterday from his interview with Dan Patrick, but he did mention this comment in particular from Ryan Day, and here's what he had to say.
I do talk to Ryan Day. Nick Saban's a guy that when he went out, I said, wow, because Nick and I started here together, and I just thought Nick would go till forever. And, but, I don't think it's any secret that I'm not saying what everybody's doing, but the process is, I think I'm just too stubborn to retire, Like, I feel good, to be honest with you, Dan. I still have the energy. I still love my players. I don't love my profession. And, but that's 3 out of 4 are on my side. So I got to deal with the profession. Like Ryan said, adapt somewhat. But adapt doesn't mean all of a sudden there's no rules. There's no accountability. I mean, what we're going through now, I mean, anytime there's a problem, just get a lawyer and fix it, And I guess lawyers must be that good, or judges.
That's why I love Tom. And, I mean, one of my favorite moments of the NCAA tournament is watching them get to the Sweet 16, and they're trying to salt the game away, and he's standing, he just starts leaning back during a big possession on the scorer's table, watching his point guard, Jeremy Fears, handle the ball and run the play. And I've just always loved him because he's old school, and that's why I knew Nate Oates would be successful at Alabama. Both of them are not afraid of confrontation, no matter how talented the player is. In other words, you have to hold the player accountable. There can't be all this la-di-da, boo-hoo, it's going to be okay, Johnny, and slap him on the butt. No, there has to be confrontation, no matter what they're making. Okay, and all this money. They've got to accept hard coaching. And that's the reason I think some programs are successful and some aren't. And so it's going to be very interesting, but they just got to – I think they're going to come to common ground. I had a meltdown today on the show. I mean – and
did you?
Because –
is that news?
Well, I mean – we've got this caller. He's a big Alabama fan, nice guy, but his name's Johnny, and all he ever wants to do is call in and act like the sky is falling and that the NCAA is never going to, and they're not. They're never going to be the same. Yeah. But he's just always talking about the tube being out of the toothpaste and it being out of the tube. You can't put it back in. Blah blah blah. And that by 2032, his rant today was it would just be the Big Ten and the SEC. There'd be no other teams basically playing college football.
I don't buy that.
There's going to be because he's going to control the playoff. Blah blah blah. And they're going to secede from the NCAA. I don't believe any of that. Okay, I guess I'm not the tinfoil hat guy like he is. I think they're going to. And the way I looked at it is. Look, I understand what Greg...
The perfect example is the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Well, we all come together for this event in particular.
But my point was, did you not pay attention to what happened with Trump and Saban and all those guys coming together? Now, that's just the first step, but it happened. Okay, and it's too important. Like he was like, nobody cares about Virginia Tech and Maryland playing each other. It'll never happen again. They'll be gone. That's not going to happen. It's too important to those universities too, and Title IX and these Olympic sports. Mm-hmm. As much as look. I don't follow them nearly as closely, but I also don't think they deserve to disappear and these young people lose their scholarships and everything just because of money and greed. I mean, it's like I said this. Wes played in the NFL. He's followed the NFL. He's had clients in the NFL. Did they not used to have a capless rookie situation where they were making $50 million? Well, they fixed it. Yeah. And eventually there's going to have to be some sort of antitrust and something like that. Eventually, because this is, and Wes has said it even today, it's not sustainable. You can't keep going to the well for $40 million a year for a roster because these donors aren't made of that kind of money all the time, and they're going to go crazy. And then, like, for example, the biggest thing that's not being said, and you sort of mentioned it just now, is Texas spending $40+ million and nearly losing to Mississippi State and Kentucky and losing 6 games, not 4, 6. And they're all telling us to find bomb. Well, guess what? If DeBoer had lost to Oklahoma, he would have been in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Well, if Steve Sarkisian had lost to Mississippi State and Kentucky, he'd be selling insurance down here with Brian Bellamy. Okay,
I wouldn't mind being offensive.
No offense, Brian Bellamy.
No, you do a great job, but I'm just saying you'd have some competition because he would have been sent out of town on a rail like Hoosiers.
Yeah, they were. You're right. I mean, and that was my argument why they shouldn't have got in. If you take their schedule and look at it, it used to be, if you remember. LSU won the national championship with two ties that they lost in overtime, but they didn't count them.
Games.
And back in the day, they don't count as much. Overtime losses don't count as much, but overtime's win don't either. So that I think that was what kind of kept them. And if you watch the Mississippi State game, they were lucky, really fortunate to win that game.
They were lucky.
Kentucky,
I mean, and here's the thing: what nobody's really talking about. And look, I think they're going to be really good too. But they keep talking about the pressure on Kalen DeBoer. What if Alabama falls short of the playoff? What if Texas falls short? What are you doing here? And you've got Arch Manning, who's got all that pedigree. What if he doesn't win the Heisman this year? What if you don't go to the playoff?
We had Jay Crane on yesterday, and they mentioned a couple of names of potential hot seat names, and one of them was Steve Sarkisian.
He should be warm. You know what I'm saying? About like my throat.
That's one way to do it. Well,
I thought he was going to throw up on me.
I did too.
Well, that would have been one for the ages there.
Josh Pate just spoke with Kalen DeBoer, and I've got a couple of clips from that. And we're live here at Full Moon BBQ. As you can probably tell, we've downed a few things already here at Full Moon BBQ. Come on by. In fact, if you'd like to save a little money. In fact, you know what? I think I'm going to go on over to the Zone Deal store and purchase. I have, out of all of the Zone Deals that we have had out there, the one I've purchased the most, we're sitting right here because I come here all the time.
You and Brian.
here at Full Moon BBQ. So all you do is just head over to our website, 977ESPN.com, click on the Big Zone Deals. You log in or create a new account, very easy to do, and then you scroll on down several deals as we speak, including some golf at Cherokee Ridge, and we've got our golf tournament coming up a couple of Mondays away on the 20th of April.
You know, it's so funny. I eat here quite a bit myself, and Wes has already eviscerated his dinner, and just by the remnants of what is left, I think I can tell what he ate. I think this is ribs, greens, and deviled eggs. How close was I?
Yeah, well, there was brisket in there, too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We do have a new zone deal set to launch tomorrow. That's the Yard Milkshake Bar. That's out at Toyota Field.
It is.
So be on the lookout for that. But I am heading over to Full Moon BBQ and just clicking on that. And because I can't get that new one, that'll launch tomorrow for the Yard Milkshake Bar. So check that out as well. Enjoy a little milkshake out there with your baseball, which will be front and center tomorrow. Let's take our first time out. We're live here at Full Moon BBQ. You'll hear from Kalen DeBoer talking to Josh Payton next right here on The Drive.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Since 1983, Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate's Ann Adams has been your local go-to real estate expert in the area. As a buyer, you can trust Ann's in-depth knowledge of the local housing market to narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in, saving you time when shopping for a new home. When you're ready to sell, Ann's expert negotiation skills will ensure you get a fair price and hassle-free experience. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or email annadamsrise@gmail.com.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that His mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
No Wi-Fi? How are we going to stream the game?
Mom, I have a research project due.
How are we going to make dinner?
Don't let power outages send your family into a meltdown. Get a Generac generator from Current Electrical. We keep your lights on and your Wi-Fi on. Visit gensuperstore.com or call 256-880-1880. Trust us, your family will thank you.
Most current way to keep your power on. GeneracSuperstore.com.
When you're craving a juicy, made-to-order burger with all your favorite toppings, it's time to head to Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Fresh, never-frozen, hand-formed patties, crispy, fresh-cut fries, savory hot dogs, and topped off with an ice-cold real milkshake. Five Guys knows what you like. Come and get it in Huntsville on North Parkway and on Enterprise, and in Madison on Moonshot Drive and Highway 72. Order online at fiveguys.com or just walk in. Five Guys. Perfection every time.
The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Only on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We're walking you up to Alabama baseball as the Crimson Tide are in Norman, Oklahoma, taking on the Sooners, coming off of a one-run win on Tuesday. That was at Jacksonville State. 4-3 was that final score. We'll see how the Crimson Tide fare tonight. Now, schedule has been updated. The Alabama baseball team plays tomorrow afternoon. That was originally set for a same start time of 6:30 that you're going to hear tonight. That has been moved up to 1 o'clock tomorrow due to some weather in the Oklahoma area. So that means as soon as we are done here tomorrow, you're going to get the home opener for Trash Panda Baseball as It'll be simulcast on Talk Radio WZZN, as well as right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. So just to kind of set the table for you for the upcoming summer, we are going to be carrying a little bit more of Trash Panda Baseball, specifically Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, if it is not conflicted with Alabama baseball. So that's at least on the front half there. But we will have Alabama baseball for you tonight, tomorrow during the day. That's going to eat into Paul Feinbaum. I mean, who knows what Paul's going to say tomorrow that we're all going to miss. But
riveting.
We'll try our best to forage ahead and go from there. But you will get some Trash Panda baseball. And by the way, if you download our app, 977 ESPN, you also get UH Charger baseball and UH Charger softball as the Union Bulldogs are in town. And
historic ceremony tomorrow, Steve, over at the
that's right. That's Les Studeman. That field will officially be named in her honor. 30 years as the head coach there on the softball side. There was not a head coach. There wasn't a program.
No. She actually started said program.
Yeah. And that ceremony, I think, 11 o'clock, 11:30, somewhere in that neighborhood there at Charger Park tomorrow. Kalen DeBoer spoke with Josh Pate. Here's a couple of clips that at least stood out to me. It's about a 30-minute sit-down. I've listened to most of it. These are the parts that really stood out to me.
Versus we kind of got what we got at this point. We're going to have to save this for January to figure it out. Like, what's that balance of, I want to win right now, man. I want to fix it right now versus, all right, let's be real about this. There's some things that we just kind of got what we got.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to live in the moment. We're going to try to maximize what we can do. So we're always going to try to make it better and not just settle, you know? And so I really felt like there were some strides that we were making past the midway point of the season. And then the last few games, you know, it really didn't meet the standard and goals that we had. You know, and you know, guys were working at it. Coaches, I think, were really pressing to try to make it better too. But we never settled. We're always going to try to be in the moment. You only get one chance to have the 2025 season, one chance to have the 2026 season. And so when you're in it, you got to keep pushing. You got to keep working to have answers to make it as good as it possibly can be.
You guys brought a lot of kids in via the portal. You got some new staffers here. It's all part of the same vision that you have for your organization. So when you go and you're looking at evaluating kids in the portal, some of them are, you know, higher profile. Some of them are not high profile. Some of them weren't on someone's radar until they literally found out, hey, Alabama just took that kid. Or it could be the same with a coaching staff addition. But when you guys were in that mode of adding to for the 2026 version of Alabama, what were some of your priorities? What specifically were you looking at?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you got to fill the spots, and we lost some very talented graduates, you know, seniors that are done with their eligibility, that are going to be greatly missed. Some of those guys brought talent. Some of them brought leadership, great leadership, because they were in the program. I think we had 4 guys that were here the whole time, out of the 16 that were seniors. So that just shows you right there the changes that have happened in the program when only 4 are there at the end. A couple of guys that went to the NFL, and left a year early. So those are hard to replace because, you know, that's the heart and soul. And so you're thinking about the high school recruiting, the development that's happening. That's why you got to continue to do that. Because I don't want to live in the world where we got to replace that many guys every single year. And we can get some really good high school players that last year made impact for us, probably half a dozen at least that were maybe not starters, but played starter reps and had that type of role. You know, I think when it comes to the portal, as you're asking, I think that, you know, we had to try to make sure we didn't waver from what you feel like in today's world the value is for a guy, because it's going to impact you. And for the most part, I think most programs around the country still have a limit of what they can spend. And we are very supported, but you know, you got to be smart, and that can not only impact what you're spending on the bottom line, but also what the locker room looks like. And I thought our staff did a great job of identifying, positions. We had to fill some offensive line spots with 5 guys graduating, a couple guys to the NFL, a couple guys, more guys that left for the portal. So there was a numbers and also a quality that we had to get to fill a roster. And I think we did a good job with that, with the freshmen that are coming up, the transfers coming in. I think, D-line, we had some spots where we had to fill some needs. The guys that left the portal, Tim Keenan, a great leader and player for us. We had to fill some spots there and become, stout in the middle, something that I think people took advantage of us on, especially in the big games. But the rest of the spots, I think that you see with receiver, there's always going to be a guy or two. Defensive back, there's a guy or two. The rest of the spots were really stable. Our tight ends were young, other than Josh Cuevas last year. They've got a year under their belt, and so I like the development and growth there. We bring in Josh Ford to add a little more strength and demeanor in the run blocking, I think, that can help that whole group out. So I like that we still covered kind of all the position groups. We had to obviously be very focused on the O-line and D-line.
That is Kalen DeBoer talking with Josh Pate. And I love that little comment that if you really were paying attention right there, most programs, he said the word most programs have a spending limit. Most programs.
Yes.
Have a spending. Why, whoever are you talking about there, Coach?
Well, one of them's got a coach that's never won a playoff game. Wild Turkey had to do it for him.
2 times.
Yeah. He did. And he did.
Yeah.
Credit to the Wild Turkey. I mean, that's who.
Anything stand out from Coach DeBoer right there for you, Drew?
Well, I mean, I think he's happy where the roster is. I think and of course, like Wes said, you can't take into account injuries. Those happen. But I think where they are in the spring right now, where they are from a development standpoint and competition and trying to improve. And what I took from it, too, is he understands the 2 biggest areas that needed to be better. And it's the reason they didn't they kind of reached their ceiling and weren't able to advance past the quarterfinals. It is the line of scrimmage. That's why they lost in the quarterfinal round, man, because they weren't good enough along the offensive and defensive lines and the running game. I mean, you have to improve running the football. I will say they did lose Hollywood Smothers, and that was the one part of the off season that at first just made my blood boil, because I felt like that my first thought was that it was botched. But then as you let things play out and you look at what's happening around America, and you look, and I'm not picking on Wild Turkey right now, I'm just picking on the situation.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you can be a Dabo Sweeney and think you signed your middle linebacker who's in class at Clemson, and all of a sudden he gets a text from Wild Turkey, a.k.a. Pete Golding, and, hey, man, what's your deal? What'd they pay you? I mean, can you get out of your contract? And lo and behold, he gets out of his contract, and now he's at Ole Miss. And I'm just saying, so I guess what I'm trying to say is, no matter what Alabama did with Hollywood Smothers, now that even if they had signed him before he left campus and they had a signed contract, it's not like it's even going to matter.
Yeah.
It's kind of what Coach DeBoer just said. Well, most have a limit on what they can spend. But the funny thing about that is, they spent a whole lot, that particular university, last year, and they fell flat on their face, and nobody's talking about it. All they want to do is heap on Kalen DeBoer, and I know I said it earlier in the show, but I find it kind of humorous that they're not even talking about the fact that they act like Alabama was 4-11 a year ago. Alabama was 11-4. Texas was watching Alabama play. Okay? They didn't get anywhere. And Arch Manning, as much as I liked being around the kid when we were in Atlanta, and I thought he did improve last year. I thought he got better, no question. But Wes kind of mentioned it earlier in the show. Texas didn't spend their money wisely on offensive linemen because their offensive line was terrible,
awful,
and their running game was terrible. And that's the one reason why they didn't make the playoff. And if it's not significantly better, they're in trouble. And so, and the funny thing is like, I think they invested some, but did they invest in the right guys? And then I'm talking about on the O-line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they certainly bought 2 running backs.
You get a bunch of injuries, and the no depth thing comes in. I just, what I got out of what listening and to Coach, and again, what happens in this is they let that guy they let go was a receiver, right?
Horton.
Horton.
No. Well, Horton, but they just.
Who are you thinking about?
Well, what was the guy? Hollywood. What was he?
Hollywood Smothers, running back.
Yeah. Running back, yeah.
Yeah, he ended up going to Texas, yeah.
But I'm telling you, Alabama has plenty of good running backs. That Trayshawn Brown.
Yeah, they brought him in from Texas. Yeah,
he
he's a
is really good.
Yeah.
I know he talks about him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a great run in the scrimmage. He's explosive, has good vision, and that's what they were missing last year. A guy to make the first guy miss. Trayshawn did a pretty good job in the scrimmage. I'm telling you, he might not be able to pass block or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know what they can't do till you go out there and play them.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying they did a good job of bringing them. I'm going to keep saying that. That doesn't mean they're going to go to the playoffs because a lot of bad things can happen, like injuries and all this.
Mm-hmm.
But if their offensive line can come around, they have playmakers and the quarterbacks to be really, really good. And I think the defense could be better than they were last year because I think they're more physical up front, like Coach DeBoer was saying. That's one thing they had to address. They felt like they got I think they felt like they're got a bad deal as far as the way they played the last two games.
Yeah,
about being pushed around a little bit on the defensive line, and that was a priority. And if you look at the guys that brought in, they could have Yanzi Pierre and three other guys that weigh 300 pounds. Starting and all of them can move. They're a lot quicker than they were last year.
Well, we did see at one point, I thought, a pretty pivotal moment. It was right after the SEC championship game. They go out, you're down 17-0 at Oklahoma, and respond in a big way.
Yeah, I mean, I think the quarterback being hurt, his timing and all that played into it, and all of a sudden he found it again. They gave him a little protection.
Yep.
And one guy that I didn't notice at practice that everybody will be able to notice was Lotzaire Brooks, who made those plays.
Mm-hmm.
And he's number 3.
I was going to say he's now not number 17. 17's the running back Wes was just talking about, the
from
freshman.
Huntsville, Texas. Yeah, I thought Lotzaire Brooks
not
had a good
Huntsville,
run.
Alabama, Huntsville, Texas.
Yeah, Huntsville, Texas. And you look at,
and he's 17 now, and Lotzaire is 3.
But Xavier Brown and Lotzaire Brooks and Keon Sabb and the safety I love, Bray Hubbard. They're not practicing.
Yeah, Bray and Sabb are both.
Well, you got.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
so and the guys that are practicing look like they're going to be really good for us. Poor Jordan Edmonds he just got to learn to make a play on the ball, but he got burned several times, but he was there.
I've heard good things about him, though.
Yeah, he's going to be really good.
He's really tall.
Yeah, they like those tall defensive backs. And last year, I thought Alabama had one of the best secondaries in the country.
One other cut from Josh Pate talking with Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer.
What's that battle in your mind like if your instinct is telling you steadfastly, I need to do it this way, and then a whole bunch of people you trust are like in unison saying the same thing? I think you need to do it the other way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, there's a stubborn side to, I don't know, me and all of us, especially when you've had success, as you mentioned, doing it certain ways. But, there's things that we've done, not with practice, but even the pre-practice and stuff that just, seem to make sense, and it's new, and with our schedules allow us to do that, where maybe in the past we couldn't. And, that's some of it too. What you can do now, you couldn't do before. You got to evolve. And, that means anything from the rules that allow us to do certain walkthroughs, things during the summer, working with the players that you couldn't do 5 years ago or 10 years ago for sure. We're just got to constantly be thinking outside the box on how our guys learn. What's the best use of time? How are the guys as far as their mindset, and especially just, are we push our guys hard? Is there too much sometimes? And, I've always probably felt like if you really don't want it, then, you'll But if you do want it, you're going to put in the work. But I think there is a time too where the season is long and you got to figure out how to play it from beginning to end. You know, we didn't start fast at the beginning of the year. You know, why is that? You know, we're continuing to evaluate those things. And probably sometimes I make sure that the staff, you know, who's trying to own it and trying to figure out how they can make it better, that they don't overthink it too. You know, where you don't make drastic changes and you do stay the course, because it has proven to work. But again, every year is different.
Every year is different, 100%. And especially now when you have to bring so many players in and all your leaders change and you're trying to meld a team. And that takes time.
But in terms of significant news today, I'd say pivot back to what Greg Byrne had to say about the SEC football championship game, saying, I think the ship has sailed and it's run its course. Given the state of the game today, how it looks today, and there is no doubt, well, we see the ACC championship game play in front of a very meager crowd. And I just...
From the beginning.
But the SEC football championship game just has another life of its own.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it has nothing to do with that. It's that you're going to be able to do all of it. And what they're going to have to do is figure out how to make more money. And that is going to be more games.
Well, they picked up $200 million, adding another conference game, collectively as a conference.
Yeah, that's about $12 million. That doesn't even cover half your damn.
Well, I think
thing.
Right now too.
It all sounds good till you divide it by 16.
But I think it's being. I think they're also talking about it because it's another hurdle, and Kirby brought it up. I think Greg Byrne is bringing it up in a way too that it gets in the way of maybe costing you a playoff spot. Now it did in Alabama this year, but in the future it could.
Plenty of them wanted it to. Though, right?
And because
I bet was that talking point after the Georgia game in Atlanta.
And Kirby brought that up. So it's just one of those things where some of these other conferences are going to start trying to use it against you, like, they lost their conference championship game, but they don't deserve, unless you pass a rule stating that it's almost like saying the two teams that qualify for the SEC championship game are in there. Mm-hmm. But then if you did that, the Duke Blue Devils would have been in there and getting beaten by 40, just like their compatriots from a year ago got smacked in SMU and Clemson.
Or Texas Tech. How much did Texas Tech really deserve to be in the playoffs?
If I hear that fool billionaire say one more word about what needs to happen in collegiate athletics, I probably would puke on the air.
With the round table.
Colby Crawford.
He spoke to President Trump. Yeah.
I know. But I mean, but he's not part of the solution. He's part of the problem, because he's sitting there just writing a blank check for every sport, because otherwise Texas Tech would be a non-factor if he weren't a billionaire. Okay, I'm talking about in the current system.
Yeah.
Now, if there was rev share and that's what it was about, and they could opt in and he could contribute to that, that's fine. That's for one thing. But they weren't able to spend NIL on the outside of it. And then the NIL had to actually be NIL. In other words, a business had to offer you services instead of you just paying to play. Then Texas Tech ain't, they're over here in La La land like they were under the Pirate, they were good, but they were never going to be a national factor. But I'll also say something else. I guess you'd have to give them a shot to win a national championship, since Indiana did, and Indiana put together the perfect storm.
They did.
But I'll just say, until I'm proven otherwise, I'm going to consider Indiana BYU of 1984. In other words, everything lined up perfect, and they went undefeated and won it all.
They were a good team.
And I'm not taking anything away from it.
No, they were.
They absolutely earned it. That BYU team, with the way the system was set up then, earned it. Okay, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to happen every day. People almost are acting like, oh, my Lord, who's going to win it now? I still think it's mostly going to be the haves and not the have-nots. But you look at what Indiana did. You give them credit. You hire the right coach. And I do think Indiana will now be good every year. But them, being every playing, in other words, I kind of chuckled when they were like, they're what Bama used to be, acting like they're going to be Bama all the time. I'm going to be like, I just started thinking of the Nick Saban quote. Everybody wants to be the beast, but will they do what it takes to stay there? And then Indiana's going to learn it's a whole lot different when everybody circles you on the schedule.
Well, it's not only that; it's not like it used to be. You're losing your whole team. Your whole team was 5th and 6th year guys.
Well, think about even the roster that Alabama, that Nick would have every year. That is just not going to happen.
No, because you lose your depth.
That's
Kirby's already started to see that. Yeah, because Georgia is still really good, but they're not as dominant as they were.
Yeah.
When they beat Wofford, I mean, that was unbelievable.
Yeah,
in the national championship game, and TCU looked like Wofford.
Ohio State's about to lose 4 players in the top 10 of the NFL draft.
Yeah, I just asked them Yanks.
On the subject of the NFL draft, the SEC now had a thought or two as to where Ty Simpson will eventually be. I'll have that. Matt Miller had a thought or two as we're live here from Full Moon BBQ. Let's take our final time out here this Thursday evening. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This hour of The Drive is brought to you by Lynn Leighton Ford, located online at lynnleightonford.com.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
For 50 years, our mission, do the right thing and make long-term decisions. We value our customers, and we invest in supporting you. We use our own technologies to automate, to provide you the best support possible. And we have the strongest guarantees in the industry. I just can't tell you I'm going to provide you great support. I have to prove it to you with my actions.
Tom Abraham here for my longtime friend Mike Owen of Owen Home Appliance. Mike has over 25 years experience in the appliance industry, and since 2017, Owen Home Appliance has served customers in the Tennessee Valley with a focus on quality products, affordable prices, and excellent customer service. Owen Home Appliance prides themselves on community involvement as well, sponsoring local teams and events while making sure that you get the right appliance at the right price. Visit their highly interactive showroom in Lacey Springs, just 8 miles south of the river on 231.
The Orthopedic Center. It's in the name. TOC, the premier choice for all your orthopedic needs. With over 40 physicians and 20 centers of excellence, TOC is the name to trust for complete, expert orthopedic care. And that word center, we mean it. With more than a dozen locations across North Alabama and the Tennessee Valley, TOC is in your community whenever you need us. As the state's largest orthopedic practice, TOC is built on trust. Trust we've earned with every patient we serve. You can see that trust on the field, too. As the official sports medicine provider for the Huntsville Havoc, Huntsville City Football Club, Oakwood and Alabama A&M universities, thousands of athletes and coaches count on TOC to keep them in the game. From student athletes to unexpected injuries, our urgent ortho clinics offer prompt, expert care. No appointment necessary. So remember, when it comes to your health and mobility, trust the name that says it all. TOC, helping you live a better life.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at All About Water. Crazy name, huh? Well, let me introduce you to them. All About Water is the top pond builder anywhere in the Tennessee Valley, and that includes remodeling or cleaning out existing ponds as well. They also have monthly maintenance plans for your pond. Don't have a pond? Well, how about a fountain or water feature for your property to bring that soothing sound of running water to your happy place? On the other hand, maybe you have water on your property that you don't want. Well, Ryan at All About Water is all about water, so he could take care of that as well. He has a background in fluid dynamics, and what that means is that he could take care of any water issue that you have. Finally, how about that irrigation system that you have or that you want? Well, they do installs and maintenance and repairs on those as well because they are all about water. Learn more at allaboutwaterllc.com. That's allaboutwaterllc.com.
Your Fox 54 weather.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures have no problems climbing into the low and mid-80s. A couple of passing showers or a couple of rumbles of thunder are going to be possible through the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening. That sort of activity is not going to affect everyone. We only drop into the mid-60s as we head into the overnight. A mostly cloudy sky for your Friday. Temperatures climbing into the upper 70s, lower 80s with a passing shower.
Your Fox 54 weather. Only on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Want to save some money?
I can take money and I can make it into more money.
Just check out our zone deals online at 977ESPN.com. We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Back here at Full Moon BBQ. Just got this segment and one more segment as Alabama baseball going to take over our airwaves at 6:15 tonight. Alabama visiting Oklahoma. Later on this month, the masses will be, in fact, let's see here, 3 weeks from today is the NFL draft.
Wow.
Where the entire world will focus on Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. After spending a little time up there, they can have it. But they are getting ready for the NFL draft. Matt Miller had this to say on where he thinks Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson will land.
Yeah, I would say with Ty Simpson, the conversation varies, and it depends on who you talk to. I have Ty Simpson ranked as the number 40 overall player in this class. I know we have colleagues who have him much higher than that. 15 starts in college is about 10 below where scouts want you to be. 25 to 30 starts is ideal. So that's a big number that he's going to have to impress teams and say, hey, I know I only played 1 year, but here's what I have going for me. Early in the year, like you mentioned, the first 9 starts, he looked like a top 10 pick. The final 6 games, he looked like a second-round pick. So I really think that's the conversation for him, is trying to prove that he is that player we saw early and not the player that we saw late once you got into some conference play, once you got into the college football playoffs. The game against Indiana definitely stands out as one that he would love to have back. I know he was banged up. I thought he did well at the combine throwing the ball, but there's a big discrepancy in where some people are talking about him being drafted on TV, on podcasts, on social media, and then where teams view him. I haven't talked to a team that views him as a first-round pick. Doesn't mean someone like the Jets or Cardinals won't jump up there to make him one, but I think the expectation for him should be somewhere in the 20s or 30s is most likely.
That is Matt Miller, ESPN draft analyst.
Well, I mean, I used to have him on when he was with Bleacher Report, I think, or which one of those, Yahoo, one of them, before he became an ESPN guy, and he does do a solid job, but I mean, I still say anywhere from, I think 15 to 32. I think is where he's going to go. I don't think he's going to end up in the second round. And I can see where some people would question it because of just 1 year.
Well, the other factor is quarterback. The quarterback position.
It's QB, man.
Yeah.
And we all know Mendoza's going 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so that means,
despite what happened today with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, that was kind of strange. Even though I did say on Talking Ball this morning when it broke, because we were talking about it, there's one of two things. He's either going to be a veteran backup to help Mendoza, but in a lot of ways, and I know he's the number 1 overall pick, I wish these organizations would learn that a lot of times these cats ain't ready as rookies to start their first game. Like, let him learn and watch Cousins, who's been highly successful as a 4th-round pick. Don't forget, he was drafted in the same draft as RG3, who went 3rd overall, I believe, and he was picked in the 4th round. And so I just think Cousins has been successful. He's had longevity. He has been hurt lately, but he went a long time being very durable, starting a ton of games, especially for Washington. And I just think that, to me, if Mendoza was studied under him for a year, I think it would be to his benefit.
I think we are late for a break right here, actually. John, are we good back there, or are we late for a break?
Yeah.
Top of the hour.
It's break time.
Yep. Yeah, I thought we blew past the break.
Woke him up.
Yeah, I think we may have woken up our boy back at the ranch, and I'm going to try to hit this as best I can. We're live here from Full Moon BBQ. We'll be back here right after this Sports Center update, and then we'll get you ready for Alabama, Oklahoma coming up next.
Peak performance. Always has been, always will be. Visit ThompsonTractor.com for details. Thompson Tractor, we're here for you.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Spurs center Victor Wembanyama, the favorite to win NBA Defensive Player of the Year and an MVP contender, won't play tonight against the Clippers due to right ankle injury management. It's the second of a back-to-back for San Antonio, which is 2 games back of NBA Western Conference leading Oklahoma City, Thunder, Lakers, 9 Eastern, ESPN Radio. East leading Pistons will be without star Cade Cunningham at least another week as he continues to recover from a collapsed left lung. Detroit's already clinched the Central Division and is up 4 games on Boston for the 1 seed in the conference with 6 games left in the regular season. Kirk Cousins is Vegas bound, agreed to join the Raiders on what's basically a 1-year, fully guaranteed $20 million contract. Vegas expected to draft Fernando Mendoza first overall in this month's NFL draft, adding another veteran quarterback to the roster, as Coach Clint Kubiak said he planned to do. NFL Network insider Tom Pelissero.
Kirk coming in a way, is just let's build out as many ways as we can to protect the rookie quarterback. I would say the most likely scenario is Kirk Cousins is the Raiders quarterback in week 1. His play and the progression of Fernando Mendoza will determine exactly how long that lasts.
Tom Pelissero on The Rich Eisen Show. Phil Mickelson announced he won't play in next week's Masters and will be out for an extended period of time as his family continues to negotiate a personal health matter. Connor Griffin, the number 1 prospect in baseball, called up by the Pirates, will make his big league debut tomorrow in the home opener against the Orioles. He'll take over as Pittsburgh's starting shortstop.
Hey, it's Michelle's mom, and coming up Friday, I'm a bundle of nerves as my Illini gear up for the Final Four against UConn. But we'll give you the keys to victory for Illinois anyway. On Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
.97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Segment here on a Thursday, live from Full Moon BBQ. We've only got you for 10 minutes here this second hour, live from Full Moon BBQ. You gonna go de-arming tonight? You gonna go the grilled cheese with pulled pork, or I'm thinking burger myself.
I think I'm going to create a D squared.
What is a D squared?
I think
not Northern Dill.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah. Where they run the 40, you know?
Yeah.
They run the 40, and they play good football over there. And they beat the SEC all the time because we've got a linebacker. He ran a 4.48. That just proves he's got SEC speed. Now, we've only beat Alabama one time in our entire storied, overrated history. But, we act like we've dominated them till the end of time. And, we've got 2 national championships since they've had bars on the helmets. That was when the referee saved us against Miami and threw some BS flag so we could win. And then Alabama blew a 21-7 lead when we actually beat them one time. And then we actually won then we actually did win. I take that back. I'm sorry. We've won 3 national championships since they had bars on the helmets. But Nick Saban, he won 6 in 17 years, and he could have won 10. And in Ohio State, they'll never do that ever in their history. So I hope you enjoyed the 3 you got.
So what is the D squared?
I started thinking about it because you guys are eating some pimento cheese tonight.
Yeah. The
and I know they have a pimento grilled cheese on the menu.
They do.
I think I'm going to have a pimento cheese sandwich with brisket on it.
Ooh. Okay.
As long as they have enough brisket. I do understand that sometimes they sell out of it.
They do.
So I have to ask. But a brisket pimento cheese sandwich would be what I would call a D squared.
Alabama 23-7 on the year, 6-3 in SEC play. Oklahoma is 20-8 on the campaign, 4-5 in SEC play. Rob Vaughn, I know it's year 3 for him.
Yeah.
Down on the capstone, but
you can't get too high or too low because trust me, in the first SEC series at Kentucky, Alabama had chances to win 2 of those games, especially the Saturday game, which was a 4-1 lead, and they lost 8-7, and then they lost 6-4 on Sunday, and a key hitter here or there, and they could have won 2 of those games, and they got swept. And it didn't make the national headlines or even the headlines of football or basketball loss does. But trust me, when they got swept the opening series, if you read the reaction on a social media, it was Armageddon. Like I saw some people saying 5-25 in the league, maybe 3-27 like Missouri last year.
Really?
I'm like Kentucky's ranked in the top 15 in the country, and these were highly competitive games, especially the last 2. And people were talking about losing every series, and I'm like, it's Kentucky. I'm like, they went to Omaha 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Kentucky's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I was like, now is it disturbing? It's disturbing.
Yeah.
Anytime you get swept.
Because in the back of your mind, you still think it's old Kentucky and not new Kentucky.
No, but it's just anytime you get swept, because sweeps really sting in the SEC, and you start thinking about
Florida, right?
You start thinking. O'Sullivan, he looked like during the Alabama series, he looked like Hangover 3. It was brutal. When I saw him over there, and then what do they do, Steve? They go sweep Arkansas on the road the next weekend.
Yeah.
So you can't get too low.
That's why I brought up Florida.
So they sweep Florida, and then I thought they could beat Auburn in the series at home.
Yeah.
But did I ever think they would sweep them? No, I did not. And now the Auburn fans are irate because they get swept by Alabama. And they keep talking about how can we lose to an unranked team? Well, Alabama's ranked now. And then we saw what happened to Auburn in the rematch with Georgia Tech. They beat Georgia Tech the first time. Then they get up 3-0, and then the roof caves in, and they give up 13 runs. And so now they're hosting Arkansas. They don't know what's going to happen. And so, but you can't get too high or too low. The league is so brutal. You just need to win series. If you have a chance to sweep. And then avoid as many sweeps as possible. But so much of it is also injuries, too. And, you think about, Tennessee last weekend. They got swept by Vanderbilt, and on the Sunday game was up 15-10 and give up 6 in the 9th and lose 16-15. And then the 2 games before that, they lost in 10 innings and then 16 innings. So it's brutal, the league. You just can't, but you can't get too low. You just got to keep your head down and keep plugging, and then understand that once you get to postseason play, that's the next step for Alabama. Like in Vaughn's first 2 years, they've made regionals, but they haven't won a game.
Yeah.
They're 0-4.
Yeah.
And so, but I think also, too, the thing with SEC baseball is you have to stay healthy, too. I was talking to Chris Lee, does a great job with Southeastern 16.
He does.
He told me at one point 5 of the top 6 arms for Vanderbilt hadn't even thrown because they've been hurt.
Wow.
Even Vanderbilt.
And their schedule right out of the gate was brutal.
Yeah, and even Vanderbilt, a program with a coach of a Tim Corbin, they can't withstand those kind of injuries.
No.
You have to be fortunate. Alabama's already had their closer that they got from North Florida.
Yep.
He's Humphrey. He's out for the year with an elbow. It always happens. It's like attrition. You always get these arms hurt. And then I gave a shout out to a local kid who closed that game against Jack State you were talking about at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
Evan Steckmesser. He's a transfer from Samford. Found out he's a Grissom Tiger. Didn't know that until I was listening to Raj. And he said the Huntsville product from Grissom High School entering the game. I knew he was from Samford, but I had no idea what the rest of his his story was, because I'll be first to admit I haven't seen as much high school baseball the last few years. I've seen some, a lot of Bob Jones, James Clemens.
Yep.
I haven't seen as much city school baseball, Huntsville City School, because they haven't made deep playoff runs, and then the basketball season is so long now.
Yeah.
By the time you get to paying attention to everything in April, which is now April, this is the last few weeks of the regular season of high school baseball. Pretty much your area play starts being decided, and it's just one of those things. But I was like, wow, a local kid. Good job out of you.
I did hear Lenny Acuff on the show this morning. Him dropping that name of John Calipari,
he did.
out of the blue,
coming out of the weight room, and then he foreshadowed something that was announced officially later this afternoon.
That's right.
He said, "I don't really know what I can say," and I didn't know what I could say either. But he said,
Brandon Fusel is now officially a Sanford Bulldog.
Yeah, he just said we have an addition coming that y'all are very familiar with,
and he knows that's a big commitment because Fusel is a player. He is a player.
I talked to some people close to the Sanford program, and they said that he'd come to play pickup with him, and he'd done very, very well. So they were
made
excited
all-tournament
about
team with a broken hand.
Yeah, there you go.
That's all you need to know.
Former Gunnersville Wildcat.
Alabama baseball is next.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our